Well, hello there. How you going? My name's Campbell. This is Autodidactic 2, and it's time again to have a look at the strange realm we find ourselves in.
AI took over the world hundreds of years ago. Your history is all AI. Photoshop has been around for hundreds of years, through various means. Photos themselves are much older than we are told. At least 200 years. And I don't believe the first Photoshop is in 1857 like they say. The Mona Lisa was printed. It wasn't painted. Renaissance paintings like the Mona Lisa were made with 2-micron paint. 30 to 50 microns is the average today. It was perfectly layered and couldn't be replicated today. Yet we're supposed to believe that Da Vinci made it with mortar and pestle paints. Nothing today can be compared to what was being made in 1434 by Jan van Eyck. The reflection in the background is perfectly displaying the reversed image. No one can replicate this level of detail. This is a print, a laser print. Photoshop was also done through etching. We have all been getting catfished. How much of the history has been etched away? These are the original filters. Cartoon filter, whitewash filter, sepia, grayscale. Supposedly there were no Civil War photos in battle, but plenty right before. And it doesn't stop with people. Looks like a lively city block, huh? Those people are painted in. This is in the New York Public Library. You can see they're painted in if you look closely. That horse was never there. You can see they removed people from this one. Their legs are still there. I'm sure many of you know about the Vanilla Sky photos. What a terrible crop job there. They edit out the skies and remove buildings. The sky is commonly cropped out poorly. This whole building is superimposed onto this block. Yet they have been able to solve overexposure in the skies since 1867 with the collodion process. Oops, actually 1857. Yet we get vanilla skies even into the 20th century. Maybe this is why. Even in film we have layering. Half the people aren't even paying attention to this. History is worse than chicks with BBLs and filters. And don't get me started on the sculptures. I've actually been to this place too. The name of this piece is called Deception. It's made out of a block of marble. It's a fishnet made out of a block of marble, and he made it in secrecy. More laser technology that the mutants took over after the reset. That slightly raised pinky causing that muscle flex being captured perfectly like that. The Renaissance was a reset. None of these artists existed. The technology was usurped and used to whitewash the history. And there was a hard reset between 1776 and the Civil War. AI is the opposite of Yah. It's really AI. AI has existed since ever. It is a program that is being uploaded through organic AI, aka human programs.
Wow, what do you think? How fake is our history? I've had a look at a lot of photos from the past. Definitely vanilla skies, and there's a lot of issues with them. There's bits where you can see where they've been painting around buildings and they've not done a very good job. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. And when he talks about the paintings from like the 1500s being a couple of microns thin, that's true, right? That's what they tell us. And that's impossible. Basically, we're not doing it today, and we've got finer, more, refined paints, I guess, where in the olden days, they were doing it with mortar and pestle, crushing up the colors with mortar and pestle. So, logic would tell us that the granules they get are bigger, right, than industrially crushed pigments. But let me know what you think. Have you checked out these photos? The vanilla skies and all the stuff. I've definitely seen photos with people and their legs are missing and other bits are missing, and a lot where you can see they're actually painted in. So, again, how much of our history, his story, is actually real? Let me know your thoughts.
Okay, there is something different about honeybees, and I guarantee if you watch the rest of this video, you're never going to look at them the same way again. And it's not just that their honeycomb is sacred geometry and that their wings are, they dance to tell each other where the flowers are, like that's how they communicate. It's freaking awesome. It's so much more than that. So you know that beekeepers have the longest life expectancy than any other trade, right? It's kind of like copper miners. They would never have problems with their joints because they're around copper so much. Being around bees so much is really good for you. If you're a beekeeper, you're pretty much going to live to 100 years old. And you also won't have any joint problems because bee venom therapy. Have you ever heard of it? People are getting stung by bees intentionally, specifically honeybees, not talking wasps or hornets. That's a whole nother thing. And their venom has like therapeutic effects. In fact, there was a woman who had stage 4 everything, was mowing her lawn. She had months to live. She was on her tractor mower and she got stung by a swarm of honeybees. She wakes up in the hospital, or maybe she didn't lose consciousness, but she goes to the hospital. They pull all the stingers out. She comes back, and all of her ailments to do with that stage 4, it like went away, dude. And she lived many years after. I'm going to do a whole video on that story alone. But the other crazy thing, this one you've heard, honey does not rot. We've heard honey does not rot. It is the only food that does not go bad. They found honey in Egypt in a jar in a clay pot that was thousands of years old. It's the only food that does not go bad. And then also we have this extremely bizarre thing you've never even heard of. It's called beehive inhalation therapy. And you go and breathe in the air from a beehive, and it has like all types of therapeutic effects for your lungs. They do this for smokers. They do this for old people. It's stimulating to your freaking, probably your pineal gland, man. There's something in the pheromones and the fumes of honey and bees that is good for you. And then we have beehive sleeping therapy, where you can sleep on top of a beehive. There's Airbnbs all over the place that have this, and there's therapeutic benefits from the vibration of bees. We know that clothes have a vibration, right? Clothing, polyester is low frequency, low vibes, whereas cotton and wool are high vibes. Well, bees give off extremely good vibes, which is good for your vibes, your vibrations. Nikola Tesla knew all about this. This one's in Italy. You can pay at an Airbnb to sleep with a beehive above your head, and you'd listen to it all night. You'd probably freaking astral travel, and your pineal gland, you'd have the most vivid dreams of your entire life sleeping next to this thing. And then we have this crazy story out of Greece, where a Greek honeybee keeper, he went and put Jesus and one of his disciples in the beehives. And he did this with other paintings, other images too, and they didn't do anything. But the bees specifically did not cover Jesus and one of his disciples in honeycomb. So that's pretty cool. He did it to increase the yield and like the productivity of his hives, but he also noticed they never would build comb over the face of Jesus. So this is why we should be especially aware that when we get non-organic food that is sprayed with pesticides, we aren't helping the bees out, because they don't like pesticides very much. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below if you love bees even more now, and follow for more.
Bees. Do you have bees? Are you a beekeeper? Let me know in the comments. Have you, got any good health effects out of it? But I've definitely heard of people sleeping on bees, that the humming is very good for you. I have not heard of the breathing from the hive before. That's pretty cool. But obviously honey is very good for you, especially like Manuka honey and things like this. Very healing. And like you said, is this why they're covering everything in pesticides, right? Are they trying to get rid of the bees because they've got so many health effects or health benefits? And, the honey in particular is probably, a very good thing to take if you have a flu, shall we say. It's got so many good things in it. And, even topically, I've heard of people putting honey around their eyes, and it improves their eyesight, on wounds and things, skin ailments, and it's very good. But I think overall, just ingesting it too, right, is good for our health. And, there's clearly a reason why they are trying to, one, get rid of bees, and two, make it hard for people to keep bees. But again, do you keep them? If you've got bees, if you've got any, any good health effects from them, please let me know in the comments.
They did an experiment where they told a group of women that they're going to put scarring on their faces, or visual disfigurements of some kind, and then they would go into an interview, and the purpose of the experiment is to work out whether the interviewer is going to treat them differently because of their facial disfigurement. What they didn't tell the women is, as they were leaving to go for the interview, they touched up their makeup without showing them the facial disfigurement, removed the scarring. So they went into the interview thinking they're facially scarred, but they weren't, and they came back reporting massive levels of discrimination, specific comments that the interviewer had made about them that they perceived. You see what you expect to see. This is why teaching people victimhood is so dangerous, because it makes them victims.
Yeah, man, your RAS, your reticular activating system, will always show you what you expect to see. And of course, our auras, our biofields precede us, right? Our energy field is always going before us into a situation. So, when you think of this, we get what we expect. One is because our energy field's in there first, right, with our intent in it. And two, your reticular activating system is going to show you what you expect to see or what you expect to hear, right? So it's very interesting, that people definitely get what they believe they're going to get. And like you said, with victimhood, I call it poor little me syndrome. When people have this, they are that their energy field is full of poor little me, right? victimhood, and it precedes them. So people are picking up on it for one thing, and two, they expect to be treated differently, to be triggered. And so that's exactly what they see. It's not always, this doesn't mean that's what's happening. It just means this is what they are seeing and perceiving through their filters, the filters of their mind, including the RAS, right? The main one. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on this. I think it's very interesting because, you can take it the other way too. There are people who have, disfigurements or, marks on their face or whatever, and they don't see it as a problem. And so they don't, get the same reaction, or at least they don't perceive the same reaction. So it's true. Like we get what we expect to get.
Please watch this.
The Lord's Prayer. Here's what Yeshua actually said in Aramaic. Jesus wasn't teaching religion, he was teaching a science of consciousness. And the prayer is the formula. This is exactly what quantum physics calls the observer effect and vibrational frequency. Our Father who art in heaven. The real meaning, not addressing a male deity in the sky, but invoking the universal source, the creative breath and the sacred vibration behind all forms. Abu represents both divine masculine and feminine principles, while Bashmaya refers to the dimension of vibration and subtle energy from which physical reality emanates. Hallowed be thy name. Real meaning, not mere praise, but may the vibration of your being be made sacred within us. It's an invitation to embody the divine name, not speak it, but to become it. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. The real meaning, not a passive wish, but an active embodiment. Let your kingdom arise within us, the divine realm awakened within the heart. It calls for merging individual will with the cosmic pattern through synchronization, not submission. Reflects the Hermetic principle, as above, so below. Give us this day our daily bread. Real meaning, not just physical food, but spiritual nourishment. Lachma means bread, understanding, wisdom, or vitality. It's a call to receive daily divine energy and life force, the inner manna that feeds the spirit. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Kalbayan means depths, errors, or missed targets, not sins as guilt, but as misalignment. Forgiveness is recalibration of energy flow. It operates as a law of resonance. What we release releases us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Not about divine testing, but do not let us enter into forgetfulness of our divine origin and purpose. Bisha, evil, refers to chaotic energy or inner distortion, not a demonic figure. It's plea for wholeness and protection against forces that scatter the soul. So the prayer, O universal source, divine breath of creation, you who exist in the realm of pure vibration and subtle energy, may your sacred frequency be awakened within us. May we embody your divine essence. Let your kingdom arise within our hearts. Let our individual will merge with the cosmic pattern, synchronizing the physical realm with the spiritual. As the microcosm reflects the macrocosm, nourish us daily with spiritual vitality. Feed our souls with divine wisdom and life force. Restore our alignment when we miss the mark. Dissolve the blockages we have created as we release and restore the flow of energy in others. For what we release releases us. Keep us awake and conscious. Do not let us fall into forgetfulness of our divine origin. Protect us from inner fragmentation and chaotic energy. Rescue us from the illusion of separation, for yours is the divine order within and without, the creative power that flows through all things, and radiant consciousness that illuminates existence now and forever.
Spot on. God isn't a male deity, head figure. It's the masculine and feminine creating all of this. Peace.
Well, there you go. The Lord's Prayer. I don't like that word, the Lord, but it's a prayer, and it's very interesting, isn't it? Because everything the system try to teach us these days is to externalize everything, right? Everything's physical. Even though quantum physics have proven that everything is frequency and vibration, it's still not what we get taught, right? It's all external, external, how you look on the outside, like what your physical body is, and pay attention to the outside. And as far as chaotic energies, well, that would be the system, right? The news, the social media, the education. I mean, that's pretty chaotic and confusing. But these people, these Allies who are in control at the moment, they are the ones who have rewritten the Bible. Like the Bible is the most edited book in history, right? At least in the history that we know. Looking at the Council of Nicaea, and many other times, all the translations, it's just been altered so often, and they have changed the message. It's still in the New Testament. And by the way, I don't believe that the New Testament and the Old Testament have anything to do with each other. They've just been slammed together to make one book. But yeah, I don't believe they have any origin that is has anything to do with each other. And Jesus said, "The kingdom of heaven is within." He said, "These things that I do and more, so you shall do." So he didn't proclaim himself to be different to anyone. I've never found anything that says that. All this, the only way to the Father is through me and all this, this is all added rhetoric, in my humble opinion. And it just serves to keep us out of our power in lower vibrations, right? That's it. It keeps us confused and it keeps us in a system where we don't believe we have the power to change ourselves or the reality that we're in. It instead teaches us that the outside physical world is much more important than your inner world, right? But the thing is, if you need to change the outer world to change your life, you've got to go and change everyone on earth, right? Impossible. But if it's you and just your inner world that needs to be changed, well, you just got to find a mirror, right? And have a good talk to yourself. So this is why I say everything is your fault, because that's a good thing. If it's your fault, you can fix it. If it's the outside world, like they want us to believe, and you have no power over it, well, you're kind of stuffed. But let me know your thoughts. What do you think about this interpretation of the Lord's Prayer? And also, while I've got you guys, if you are enjoying this, please do give me a like, share it around, hype it up, all that kind of stuff. And of course, make sure that you're subscribed.
Look what's coming out of the back of it in color. 5 separate gases coming out of this reptilian tanker, dropping 5 gases at 300 feet. You're smoking their gas today because they drop this gas only on technically advancing communities on the planet. Okay? Every 4 to 6 weeks. So you could be getting it today. Not one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They didn't see it because everybody's minds are controlled to not see it, just like a stealth system. So the commander of the squadron made sure that that stealth was turned on. He forgot to turn on the stealth that prevents the camera from photographing it. Okay? So the reason you don't see these, they're flying all over us. There's hundreds of them. There's thousands of them every single day on your planet. They're dropping the gas. So your mind is being controlled, and you don't function normally, or how you should function.
Things, gases falling from the sky. I mean, we've all seen it, but he's saying that there's a lot more going on that we can't see, right? With stealth cloaking. He even said there was one that stops cameras being able to see it. So, I mean, I don't know, right? That's an edge. Is what he's saying true? I don't know. It's definitely feasible. I'm sure that they've got a lot of technologies that they don't tell us about. But at the same time, I also don't think that they have all the technology that they tell us they do have. And this is the thing, this is the great illusion, right? They tell us this thing's a threat, nuclear war or whatever, global warming. This is the threat, this is the threat, where they're doing something completely different that is the threat in the background so that we don't pay attention to it and we don't see it. It's very interesting. But let me know what you think about this. Do you think that there are vehicles flying around that are cloaked, that are dropping stuff on us, different gases? And is this UFOs? Is this why some people see UFOs and some people don't? It's an interesting question, right? And, what are all these UFOs? I'm sure that, at least half of them are from the government, right? DARPA and all this kind of stuff. And the technology that they've acquired, maybe from different species. You just look at what happened with the World War II, the Germans, can't say certain words, down in Antarctica, right? And they had the flying bell and all this kind of stuff. They were searching for relics. And then Admiral Byrd, Project High Jump down there, he got attacked by what he said were flying saucers. So there's so much going on out there that we don't know about. But is this true? What do you think? And, just a reminder, guys, don't believe anything you see in these videos. Don't believe what I say. This is all for entertainment purposes only, right, YouTube? But this is all about being autodidactic, right? Self-educated, making your own mind up, getting your own point of view. And of course, we cannot make a decision unless we have a minimum of three different points of view. Two, being given a choice, right? So you're being told something. Basically, one, you're definitely being told something. So we need as many different points of view as we can, and not to judge things as right or wrong, because that again cuts us off from learning anything else about them. Right? So everything's interesting. Just get your information, contemplate it, and come up with your own perspective.
In 1950, San Francisco didn't just have fog, it was part of a military experiment called Operation Sea Spray. A Navy ship offshore released airborne bacteria over the city to study how a biological agent would spread. The public was never informed, no consent, no warning, and it didn't stop there. Over the decades that followed, the US government repeatedly ran experiments on its own people without telling them. The Army dispersed microscopic particles over cities to track how airborne material traveled. Public health officials ran the Tuskegee study, allowing men to suffer untreated disease for decades just to observe the outcome. In Guatemala, people were intentionally exposed to infection in the name of research. Radiation experiments were later uncovered where civilians were exposed without informed consent. Different agencies, different decades, same logic every time. The public doesn't need to know. And whenever these programs were exposed, officials always said the same things. It was safe, it was necessary, and it would never happen again. Now fast forward to today. People look up and see persistent trails spreading across the sky. Governments insist nothing unusual is happening, just like they insisted during Sea Spray, just like Tuskegee, just like every case before the truth came out years later. History shows a clear pattern. Secret testing first, denial second, admission much later. So here's the real question. If institutions have already crossed this line multiple times, why should denial alone settle the question now? Should any large-scale environmental or atmospheric testing ever be allowed without public disclosure? And honestly, do you trust a system with this track record to always tell the truth? Comment fog if you see the pattern, follow for documented case file stories, and share this with someone who still believes it can't happen.
Well, there you go, a bit of proof. You don't have to comment fog, by the way. But there you go, this was back in the 50s. And the clip before, we saw that he was talking about the present, doing the same things, just with more sophisticated technology. And yesterday I showed a video where it was saying that 3 states in the US, the citizens, the people, the men and women, not citizens, right? Men and women were told to stay inside, right? Because there was toxic outside. We had the toxic fog in California late last year, and the fake snow, of course, right? The fake snow. So what are they doing? What are they spraying around? They've been doing this for, well, based on that, at least 70 plus years. For how much longer have they been doing it? And what's the point? It looks like it's just to weaken us, right? Why is that? Is it just to get us to buy more pharmaceuticals? Is it just to make us more controllable? Is it that they know that we're too powerful when we're in full health and they wouldn't be able to contain us and program our minds, right? Mind control us to try and believe their version of events. Obviously, it works on a lot of people though, because a lot of people are still in there. But what are your thoughts on this? Do you think all the stuff happening now, and this includes the weather events, right? But definitely the snow, the fog, the smog, all this stuff. Do you think this is all made on purpose by the mind controllers, right? The government. Let me know your thoughts.
Yo, everything is fake, man. The media's fake, the jobs are fake, the money's fake, politics fake, religion's fake, people are fake, friends are fake, everything is fake. Nothing is real anymore. We have traded authenticity for convenience. We have traded truth for comfort. And we're surrounded by the illusions that we helped build. The media is feeding you fear. The job is draining your soul. The money's being printed from nothing but controlling everything. The politics is dividing you into teams that both work for the same system. Religion is telling you to find God outside yourself. Your friends are following trends more than they follow truth. And the family stopped talking once technology gave them better distractions. You scroll more than you feel. You post more than you speak. You know more about strangers online than your own blood. The science lies when there's money involved. Pharma profits when you're sick. And NASA is selling you dreams while the whole world is burning. Everything that's supposed to help you hurts you. Everything that's supposed to unite you divides you. And everything that's supposed to make you smarter is making you dependent. And we've forgotten how to be human. We've lost touch with nature, with silence, with each other. We're seeking truth in systems designed to hide it. And the only way to get out, man, is to going back in. Back to presence, back to truth, back to real connection. And it starts with awareness. You got to question it all. You got to unplug from the things that drain you and reconnect with the things that ground you. You got to talk to your people. You got to touch the earth, hug a tree, listen more than you scroll. Because the system is going to continuously win when you forget who you are. But the moment you remember it, you're going to break it. So remember, tribe, it's always about leaving people better than we found them. So we got to help the people unplug from this. Open their eyes and seek truth over comfort always. Until tomorrow, tribe, namaste.
Well, I can't disagree with that. It's true, right? Everything is distraction. Everything is given to us as something that will help us and turns into something that divides us, right? Helps conquer us. And this goes back to that interpretation of the Lord's Prayer, right? We need to be focusing on the inside, on the frequencies and energies, and understanding the power is within us. But the system wants us to look outside, right? It wants all this stuff to be done outside of us. And then now we have the 2D world, right? The overlay, right? The simulation, if you want to put it that way, because I believe the simulation is what they're trying to bring in, right? This simulated reality that is apart from everything. It's not real, and it's getting worse every day, right? With all the bots, with all the fake accounts, with all the AI. The internet is eating itself, and it's fastly becoming useless, basically. It really is. But in the end, I think that the only solution there is to take our power back, to stop believing the hype, to stop letting people outside of us control our perception of reality, especially, right, when we know what these people who are doing it are, how they have a complete lack of moral ethics. They do amazingly disgusting things, like really bad stuff. But even the best of them just lie and steal and cheat, right? And then it gets a lot worse as you go down the line. But it's really we just need to. I don't like the term wake up, but I guess be more aware of who we are, and really believe, right? Belief in yourself that you can do whatever you want, that you are all powerful, and that people outside of you don't get to tell you what to do. They don't get to manipulate you. They don't get to create your future reality. Now, that only happens when we focus on what they're putting out and we start to believe it. Then we create it for ourselves. And this is the big dichotomy, right? This is the big inversion is that all this stuff's going on, but in the end, it's only happening, one, because we allow it, and two, because we believe it to be real, so we create it. But let me know your thoughts.
This is not prophecy, but prediction. If this was predicted 27 years ago, somebody knew something. Okay, here's the list. This is an abbreviated list. I could have made it much longer. You know I can. I didn't. Okay, you ready for the list? Fast mutating viral disease pandemics. Genetically developed vaccines. DNA database tracking. DNA chips. Get this one. 1997. Gene-based pharmaceuticals. Transmitting genetic instructions for a disease process. How about this one? You ready for it? Wait for it. Artificial intelligence to determine gene patterns. 27 years ago, who had heard about AI? Apparently they had. How about this one? Robots for doing genome sequencing. And then, this one blew me away. Using recombinant DNA for making spike proteins. 1997? It gets even worse. Smart homes. They have a whole chapter on smart homes / smart cities. This one will absolutely floor you. It did me. In 1997, and this is, you can do the word search and research yourself. They predicted, not 2025, but by 2020, that people would be working from home virtually. Come on. Nuclear devices causing widespread contamination. Nanotech devices, this stuff was never even heard of. Digital currency, and last but certainly not least, vaccination programs. I'm sorry, I gotta chuckle, because if I don't, I'll cry. Vaccination programs run by organizations like the World Health Organization for a global killer that has yet to emerge. First printing, February 1997.
Wow, 1997, right? 23 years before the whole pandemic hit. And this just goes to prove, right, that it's a scripted reality. And there's many documents like this where they tell us what they're going to do. This has been planned out for a very long time. And it's a playbook. It's a playbook. It's a script. And this is one of the reasons why everything's going so haywire at the moment, is because they can't go off their script. They don't know how to. These allies, right, these beings that are not us. They have that's it. They have a script and they can follow it, and that's it. They don't know how to do anything else. So when people stop believing in the script, they just keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it, which is what we're seeing at the moment, right? They're pushing harder and harder because they've got no other option. There's no plan B for these demonic beings, right? Whatever they are. But it also shows that we can rewrite the script, right? If we just all stop believing and stop acting on their script, they've got nowhere to go. They don't have a plan B, like I said. So these people, these beings, are teetering, right? We tend to see them as all powerful and so strong and in such control, but I don't believe that's real. I believe they're holding on by a thread, and especially now. And it's not going to take much, right? It's not going to take much. We're still waiting for the 100th monkey, but it's a small percentage. I've heard it's around 7% of the population need to change their belief systems, and that affects the whole population, right? That's how we change things. So, as far as what can we do as individuals, as men and women to change this, well, we can change ourselves. We can be the change we want to see. And that may affect one person, it may affect 100 people, right? But slowly we're getting to this, critical mass, right, that they talk about, which is basically just a percentage of people, an energy quotient, if you put it that way, that when we hit it, it's going to affect everything. So, scripted reality. What do you think? How scripted is it? Let me know your thoughts.
This one is called hashtag Transcendent Health, adapting an LGBT plus inclusive teen pregnancy prevention program for transgender boys. I can't even say this without laughing. Do you think that is a useful form of our tax spend?
I am not familiar with that grant, but I think bench research, government investment in scientific and pharmaceutical
teen pregnancy
research.
for transgender boys. do you think that that is a useful spend of our tax dollars?
I think government investment in all kinds of scientific research is of the utmost importance.
Including pregnancy prevention for transgender boys. Okay.
And that just highlights how ridiculous the script is, and how people get suckered into this stuff. Whether that lady was, a paid actor, whether she's paid to look and sound stupid, I don't know. To push their ideology. I mean, and I guess we don't even know where this funding's going, right? Is it just another way for them to siphon money off and steal it, right? Steal our tax money. But it's crazy. These people are in politics. They're making decisions, right? I mean, we all know that politicians lie, and they're, basically most of them are the worst among us, right? Making the decisions, making the rules. But it just shows you that, this whole script thing, it's just so dumb. It's so stupid. And all we really need to do is call it out and not pay attention to it, not give it our energy, and it will start to fall apart like the whole rainbow culture is. It's falling apart, right? No one believes it anymore. No one wants men in women's change rooms and bathrooms. No one wants their young children being fed this ideology, right? It's no one is accepting it anymore. Clearly there's some fringe crazy people, but you can spot them a mile away, and they're really just the more programmed people, right? The one that have bought the program and are acting on it. But it's crazy. I mean, let me know in the comments. Can men get pregnant? All right, guys. So there we go. Thanks for spending some time with me. Another one done. Please, if you did enjoy this, do give me a like. Hype it up if you have the means. Share it around. And of course, if you're not subscribed, what the bloody hell are you doing? Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button, all that kind of stuff. And most importantly, stay awesome and be the change you want to see, because that's your biggest power. And I'll talk to you on the next upload. Bye for now.